Honourable member for Elmwood Transcona.
Poppycock, it is the same draconian measures as the Harper government. This is virtually the same motion they used when they legislated CP workers back to work as well. So this was a creation of Peter Van Loan, and the Liberals are now using that, Mr. Speaker. So, but on the question of Bills C-377 and 525, because I think the Liberals have made it pretty clear that they want to coast through this entire Parliament as that being the one meaningful thing that they did for Labour. The fact of the matter is that one of the most egregious provisions of Bill C-377 was going to be that unions were going to have to disclose the amount in their strike fund. And the reason that was a bad thing was because unions needed to be able to go out on strike and not have the employer know how long they were going to be able to sustain a strike, because the strike is what gives them leverage at the bargaining table. So how dare the minister get up and say, well, we got rid of Bill C-377, so we're a hero for Labour, ignore the fact we're implementing back-to-work legislation, which ends the strike anyway. Yes. In which case, what does it matter what's in their strike fund, Mr. Speaker? Because the government is going to, artificially end the strike anyway. So you can't give with one hand, take away with the other, and then call yourself a champion of Labour, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister of Employment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm grateful for the member opposite's question, because it allows me to reiterate the work that we've done in partnership with organized labour to strengthen workplaces and decent work in this country for the most vulnerable workers. Speaker, there's no question that our government has made huge strides to actually protect workers in Canadian workplaces. Since forming government, he's right, Mr. Speaker, we did actually repeal extremely harmful legislation that made it much harder for unions to organize and collectively bargain. We amended the Canada Labour Code to provide for additional rights for flexibility for workers and to implement different leaves. We've strengthened occupational and health and safety standards for workers so that they have safe workplaces, something that unions have fought for a very long time. We passed C-65 to protect workers from harassment and sexual violence, violence of all kinds. We ratified ILO Convention 98, which protects the rights of workers to collectively organize and bargain. And in Bill C-86, we're modernizing labour standards, which are going to, again, provide for basic standards for the most vulnerable that will actually provide decent, dignified work in workplaces that oftentimes vulnerable workers struggle in. We're introducing pay equity legislation, Mr. Speaker, which will provide for mandatory assessments of work in federally regulated workplaces that will make sure that women receive pay for work of equal value. We've almost doubled the benefits through the Wage Earner Protection Act, Mr. Speaker, something that unions talked about consistently needing for those vulnerable workers. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I don't think it's a small thing. We have certainly taken steps to make sure that we ban asbestos in our workplaces, something that organized labour again fought for. We work closely with organized labour. We'll continue to work closely with organized labour, and I am proud of this record of this government. Thank you.
Sarnia Lambton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.